Trust me, I'm never going to have you guys do this with our product. This is like next level. On the kitchen counter, this is all the stuff we've set out to avoid. And new stuff we never knew people even did. John from the Chainwax podcast. It's season 2 now. We're starting a new season. You know why? Because spring is here. It's a new season, a new bike season. Can't wait to get out there and get back in shape at the way I was before. After a long, muddy winter, cold, the wind out here has been unbelievable. It's been one of the windiest years out here as well. So I'm getting a lot of calls and emails from people with new bikes telling me, I've just got a new bike and I want to set it up, and what do I do? Well, if you're on an e-bike, the chain prep formula here on the right and the Darkmatter there, that's pretty much all you need. You can use the Uberclear over there at the left side for the top off if you want, but you can just use Darkmatter by itself. It will get pretty dark, as the name suggests, but that's the least of your worries. Your chain is going to last forever. As far as an e-bike goes, I mean, virtually forever. We're hoping to get 5,000 miles on average on these e-bikes with this product. The Uberclear is now an ultra endurance formula as well. So in conjunction, that should get you plenty of miles on your e-bike drivetrain without any maintenance costs. Hopefully you'll be able to go the entire year on the one chain. So chain checking is something that is very important. This is the one I do, and you can see here it's got a gauge from 0% to 1.0, and let's see, whoops. And it still says a new chain is 0.25 to 0.5. So what I suggest is you line the pins up on one side of the plates, okay? So get the chain very straight, line the pins on the chain checker here. There's a pin on each end of this, and the floating edge is on the left there. Push them to the back of one side of the rollers, meaning have the pins on one side of the plate, get the chain as straight as possible. Try to get it to where it reads the 0 there in the little slot. Try to get your new chain to read as close to 0 as possible. Make a note of that. Now, if for some reason the best you can do is get it to 25, well, then 25 is now your 0, okay? And so I don't let mine get past a chain wear rate of 0.2. So I don't let it get past 0.2 from 0. Technically, I try to stop at 0.25, but I don't really get there on my mountain bikes. I go 3 years, and I'm still not there. I'm still at about 0.18 from 0. At that point, I change them because it's usually about 6,000 miles and 3 years of use, and I just don't want to go into year 4. Right now, I am on year 4 on these chains. I haven't checked them yet because I haven't started riding yet, and I might just... This time, this will be the 3rd time, I might just go another year on it and see if I can get another year out of these chains. I don't plan on doing a lot of really heavy-duty riding as far as climbing, so it might be okay. Might be a bad idea. I might take out all my cassettes and chain rings that are still all original on those bikes that have all gone through several chains initially, and then these 2 back-to-back 3-year periods that I've never exceeded 0.18, really, with 0.25 being the stopping point. All right, I digress here. So try to get this to be as close to 0 as possible by not letting it cross-chain, not letting the tool itself cross the rollers, okay? Because you're going to get a really funky measurement there. It might even be 0.5 when you start there. So from there, you're going to have to... I don't recommend doing it that way. What I was actually going to come up with a way to do it more accurately, but I have to keep that one... Well, I have to keep that under wraps right now. I'm going to come out with my own chain checker at some point. Now, these ones are a little more, a little more easier to use. You don't have to think about it really. If it doesn't go in, it's new. If it goes in, you got the first setting is 0.7. See, I don't like that. I don't like how it's got the 0.75 and the 0.1. I like to stop way prior to that. And these ones, you use them in this manner. So a new chain, it's not going to go in at all. And here's one here, sort of showing if it doesn't go in, you're okay. But, you know, 0.75 is not where you want to change your chain. You want to change it way prior to that. So I don't really recommend these. This one is the best one, manual operated one. There's some digital ones out there. They're good too. But this one here, if you learn how to use it, I think you can get a really accurate measurement. And here's somebody using it. And you look through the little hole there to see what number you're.
Opinions on things. We're trying to get to the bottom of some of our differences of opinions on things. They were sort of, I guess, you know, touting how awesome Ludicrous AF was it was like, hey, look, and again, this was their stuff and not sent to me to be able to keep, but it's like, hey, look, efficiency loss result, we send it out with an athlete, they do some races, it comes back, we ultrasonic clean it, we reach.
Oh, the drama of it all. So you can see here, it's just, you know, the testing is even in question among themselves, okay?
Be on the right, sort of anti-wax and nut job video.
So there's a thing they call people anti-waxer nut jobs now, okay? So it's all for entertainment, guys.
Is for the right time. It was going to be on the right, sort of anti-wax and nut job video, proposing how awesome oil is. I was going to use it to really tear that down. Never got around to didn't even bother with that, but that practically broke the machine. Rock and roll gold.
So Wenwax almost broke the machine. Okay, how is that possible to break a machine? Wouldn't the chain break first before the machine got so much tension applied to it? It doesn't even make any sense. Because a completely dry chain can run all day. It's just not going to run efficiently. So this is drama. That's a flat out lie.
Hey everybody, this is John from aMTBer Products. Just pointing out some highlights of episode 4 of the Chainwax podcast, where we really uncovered in those 2 or 3 videos surrounding that one, just what's really going on with marketing and why they're doing this kind of marketing. You know, it's really, this one kind of compares it to the Coke and Pepsi challenge. And you got 2 giant ski wax companies probably making the bulk of these waxes for people here in this part of the world, at least. They're both American-made companies, American-based companies. And so you've got this situation where Wenwax was being hammered by everybody else. And they're basically like a joke in the industry now, unfortunately, because of all this talk. And I was like, how can they not be suing for this slander? I mean, they sponsored top racers. They finished big gravel rides and big gravel races. So the product actually, you know, must work to some extent. What it is, it's 2 giant ski wax companies competing against each other, putting out an inferior product to promote the superior products that cost a lot more. And that's what this game is. This game is to extract a lot of money out of your pocket. Now we've got $200 waxes and $250 wax pots from Cyclo Wax, and other companies are coming up with this very expensive stuff to sort of compete with Ceramic Speed and all their high-end marginal gains, crazy priced products. When it comes to the chain lube, nobody's got this figured out like we do. No one has it waterproof, corrosion resistant. A lot of these waxes will rust right under the wax if you're not careful. Okay. There's a big effort still to get extended chain life. And we've got this down to a 1-minute procedure. That's a little clip there you just saw from my Spotify podcast account, the Chainwax podcast on Spotify. And, you know, what we're trying to do is show you guys the truth, the reality of the situation with these bike chains and all the hundreds of different lubes out there now. They're trying to flood the market with stuff just to keep you confused. Look, I've been through all the ones at the bike shop. I've been through other ones I've bought elsewhere, like at REI and other places. I've tried all these different things. I went to Crockpots. I tried the new stuff as it come out in between. It basically, all of these things have downsides. We wanted to eliminate them all. Now, I am working on a motorcycle lube. This video came up a while ago. I'm going to explain why this is relevant, okay, in a minute here. Now, I watched this video. This guy is doing some things that we used to do, and they're doing it in excess. It's a motorcycle chain. They're basically putting diesel fuel on there, this video. And then he makes the mistake of putting dishwater soap on his, they have O-rings on these chains. You don't want to use dishwater soap on the O-rings, okay? So, you know, this video here has 56,000 views, and it's called Most Affordable Chain Cleaning, okay? Came up because it's got the word chain in it. I watched it, and I went, well, I'm working on the motorcycle stuff. Let's see what this guy has to say. So you can see here, he's got the motorcycle, and this thing, like I said, this video got 56,000 views on a guy with about, I think he only has a couple thousand subs. But he's going to be spraying the diesel fuel on the chain, doing the chain cleaner. This is where those chain cleaners come from, guys. These chain cleaners come from the motorcycle industry. That's why they're not the right size. A lot of people are selling these now with their hot wax kits. And it's a motorcycle chain cleaner. It's been around for a long time. This is, he's putting on, he's putting dishwashing liquid on the bike, on the chain. Okay, so that's going to dry out your O-rings and not be good. And he got a lot of flack for that in the comments. He's getting it all over his bike. This is what motorcycle guys are doing now. Now, here's the thing. Looking further into this, and he even divulges it, he's been using all the different motorcycle lubes. He's only getting about 300 miles for an application on his motorcycle lubes, okay? So all of these techniques are very similar to the old mountain bike stuff that, honestly, they're still telling you got to do a lot of these things, or just half-ass it with a second crock pot, run it through some new wax, strip out. All that stuff has got a downside. And the motorcycle end of this is still there too. You know, this is the best DIY solution out there. It's very common for people to use, you know, we used to use gasoline. They use diesel for whatever reason in their country. But it's not convenient. And now the chain looks pretty good. And he's doing a technique of lubing the side plates here on a motorcycle. So it's a little different. So a lot of this comments here will say they're getting like 300 to 350 kilometers. That's it on a street bike. So some of these claims for mountain bikes, you can see how far-fetched they are. I mean, even a street bike is only getting a few hundred kilometers or a few hundred miles between applications. Is what most of the commenters are saying that they've experienced, okay? Now, I rode dirt bikes. I never rode street bikes. As a kid, I had a dirt bike. I would lube it every ride. I did it every ride. So I don't really probably ride a couple dozen miles at a time on a dirt bike before the gas tank was dry. I don't know. It didn't seem to be. You don't really have odometers on the dirt bikes, so you don't really know how many miles you're going. I had a CR250 two-stroke, 1988 CR250, and a 1986 what is it called? Honda 4-Trax 250R. So both were two-stroke, 250 two-stroke engines on those bikes, and I had a Kawasaki and a couple other bikes. But those were my main bikes that I had right when I got out of motorcycles. It was just too dangerous. I was into BMX, into mountain bikes, had the garage full of motorcycles and all the wheels and tires for all the different terrains, and it was too much. I had a couple of really close calls, and I just stuck to mountain biking from that point. I was about 23 years old, I guess. So the road bike guys, hearing what they get on their chain lubes was very intriguing to me. These guys that ride these, rice rockets, we call them, they're not getting 1,000 miles on a chain lube application. Okay. So it's always a big maintenance process on any chain driven two-wheeled vehicle. And, this just points out that some of these claims, especially with e-bikes, you're not going to get 300 miles on an application on any e-bike chain lube because a motorcycle doesn't do it. And e-bikes are in the dirt, street bikes are on the street, and they don't even get it. There is a lot of road dust, a lot of road grime. Road bike chains get very dirty. So putting it on one drop of link and just letting it soak in, that's what they're still doing. I can't wait to introduce mine. I think mine's going to do very well in this market. It's a big market, much bigger than mountain biking. And with the latest mountain biking stuff that just came out in the video from yesterday, I highlighted it. It's 12 to 24-hour dry times for these drip lubes. You know, the motorcycle world's not going to tolerate that. So I've, been working on this for a little while and been asked for it. I approached Mountain Bike Action Magazine to do a review of my product 2019. They asked me to work on a motorcycle formula instead. That's what the industry is looking for, a better motorcycle lube. That was Mountain Bike Action Magazine. That was their response to me over the phone. I went there in person, gave them a demo, and the mountain bike stuff was so different they weren't really interested in it back then. And now it's a little more common. You know, the wax stuff is more common. It was very foreign to mountain biking. So it looks like the end of the clip about the chain checker got cut off, and I was going to say, here's a little clip from my Spotify where, it's episode 4 is a good one that kind of points out some of these things they're up to. And this is not good business practices. When I realized what's going on, I put it out there right away. It's why I started this podcast, just to kind of counter the corporate attacks I was going through at the time. And as I did that, pointing them out, I started seeing all the deception and the marketing, and just, wow, this whole marketing thing behind chain lube is all deception, the whole thing. And I was a victim of it too, until I went to my crockpot wax, and then that had its downfalls, and I'm like, you know what? I got to figure this out. I mean, I've told the story before. I walked into Santa Monica Mountain Cyclery, and they said, John, try this chain lube, and it was the new WD-40 bike formula. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I've tried everything else, and this company's got huge budget, and I'm sure they hired the best guys they could find to come up with. And it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like syrup on my chain. And I said, that's it, I'm done. And I had already developed my synthetic. I went back to that, which was a little better. I was trying the dry lubes. I was trying all the things, everything out there. Went back to my synthetic after that. I tried the T9. Honestly, the T9 and the WD-40 that were so highly, well, the T9, people were raving about it. That stuff was syrup too. That stuff just was sticky and slow, and the chain wore out real fast. And I didn't even get through that bottle of WD-40. I still have it somewhere. It's still somewhere around here. But the segue was supposed to go into the wrapping up about the chain tool here, and learning how to use it is key. This is a good one. I wish I had a little tripod to show you guys how I do it on one of my bikes. I'll have to get a tripod from Alibaba, or maybe Temu. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up here. Let me think. Got a lot of little clips pasted together, so sorry about the confusion. But yeah, we after all of that and a lifetime of dealing with this problem since I was a little kid racing bikes, 11 years old, at the teen center in Devonshire Downs and Canyon Country and Satakoy and Azusa, and I don't know, there's probably another 4 or 5 tracks I can't remember. It was, clean your bike has to look good, clean bike's a fast bike, all these things. Finally figured out a solution. And this stuff here in this little white bottle changed it all for me. This was the first designed top-off formula ever for a waxed crockpot dip chain. That's what this was. And when I went to Sea Otter with it, I was still developing the Lubenschleiden Bike Park formula and the 1.2. So I didn't bring those because they weren't ready to have people do, a bunch of testing on it outside of, internal testing to get it developed all the way. And so that was spring of 2019. By summer, I had the 1.2 ready to show. Grandy Gear called up. I went out and we did all that. I've talked about that in the past. And old guy in a bike channel, we did help me develop the 1.2 on his terrain. And then I sent it around the country as well. I had a downhill guy in Canada with the bike park formula racing. He actually won the, what would you call it? He won the national championship for his age group up there. Garrett is his name. And then I had the Plant Power Racing team using it as well, straight from Sea Otter. They were using this on their dip chains. The first top-off formula designed for dip chain. That's us. Nothing else existed. This is why Ceramic Speed and everybody else was at my booth going, what's this guy doing? I said, hey, I'm a mountain bike guy. Don't worry about it. I'm not interested in your marginal gains TT bike stuff. And at the time, I had a TT bike. I bought my TT bike in 2017 and was training on it for a couple of years prior to Sea Otter. So you see, this Smooth Lube chain prep formula changed everything for the chain lube industry at the right time, because cassettes were already getting to be $500 back then, and I think there was even a SRAM Eagle cassette around $700 back then for like a racing version or something. I remember somebody showed me it once back then. Now you still have these expensive cassettes. Nobody wants to go through 3 cassettes a year on that at that price. Now the e-bikes are starting to do that. This is where they've adapted to the new lubes, the new technology. They're trying to mimic my stuff. It's because the drivetrains are so expensive that people that ride bikes, they're going to go to the bike shop, they're going to ride 500 miles on their new e-bike and say, why is my drivetrain worn out this far? Okay, so they're trying to counter that, because that would be like a warranty issue. If I bought something new and bought the chain lube off the shelf back that we had before, and my bike wore out in 500 miles, I'd say that's on you guys. That's what I would do. Would you tolerate that with your car? Buy a new car. Hey, my transmission was worn out in 1,000 miles. See, that's why they had to adapt to the wax, because the cost of these things was getting so high. And then the e-bikes came in and everybody's got a powerful motor now. It used to just be the fit guys that wore out the chains. Now everybody's wearing out the chains, you see? So that's why they embrace this stuff. Now, I was first to come out with a top off, and they've all tried to mimic this. They still can't make something as good as mine. And from there, we have everything else in the line now. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Sorry, this is a lot of little segments. I'm a little distracted today. It's 100 degrees in California. At least it's supposed to be. I think it only hit 96 yesterday, so I don't know what it is now. But anyway, it's summer's here for us. It's springtime, season 2 of the Chainwax podcast. This is episode 1, and hope you guys learn something. Hope you guys try the product. Buy a T-shirt if you use the product and love it. Help me get the word out. That's what I'm up against. I'm up against hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing budgets to try to steer people in the wrong direction into these inferior products that may last a little longer than what was around 10 or 15 years ago. But from what I understand, people are still going through drivetrain. That seems to be the number one thing in the bike shops out here. Everybody's on an e-bike out here in Southern California now. Everybody. All the trails are allowing it, and pretty much everywhere they're allowed now. And so it's mostly e-bikes out here. And from what I understand, the shops are making most of their money on drivetrains as a maintenance thing, and tires. Those e-bikes chew up rear tires very quickly. So we're trying to help you guys not spend your money on just maintaining chains and cassettes and things. It's much more fun to buy a new helmet and some sunglasses and gloves and a kit and a new pair of shoes and stuff like that, or maybe even a new bike rack for your car. I mean, the cost of these drivetrains, you can get a nice bike rack for that. You can get a nice Kuat bike rack, or what's the newest, coolest one? I don't even know. There's a couple of new. I have a Kuat 2.0, the NV 2.0 with the extension and the little bike tool that telescopes out of it. And when I got that was about a $1,200 rack. I got an industry deal on it for about, I think I got it about $750. And now those things are, what, $1,500? Well, guess what? Some of these bikes, your drivetrain, you're up there. You're up there close to $1,000 with a cassette chain and a chain ring and jockey wheels. So you either spend it on that or you can spend it on something fun. And it's much more fun to spend your money on something you want rather than something you're forced to buy because it broke. So, all right, guys, Chainwax Podcast, Season 2. This is Episode 31. It might be Episode 1 of Season 2. Not sure what we're going to do about that yet. But thanks a lot so much. Talk to you guys later.